In poker, we have this concept of a free card. Basically, can you see the turn or the river without having to commit more chips to the pot? Most beginners think of a free card as something you give away, usually by accident, but you give it to your opponent. Great players and pros, they know that a free card is something you can actually take from your opponent if you maneuver correctly throughout the hand. So let's look at an example where you get a free river card when you flop a flush draw. We'll have Jack 10 suited on the button, 2 spades, and our opponent will be seated in middle position. Blinds are 10-20, and the villain raises 3 times the big blind to 60. So we make a pretty good call with position. The pot going to the flop is 150 chips. We see Jack of clubs, 5 of spades, ace of spades. Pretty good flop for us. We have middle pair and a pretty strong flush draw. So our opponent, he acts first and he bets 100 chips. We have a very important decision to make here. We could either just call, which I think is sort of weak. Definitely an option though. But we could also do the key maneuver to ensure that we see a free river card. We could raise the flop with our middle pair and flush draw. And that's what we'll do. We'll put in 200 chips. If our opponent calls this, of course the pot's going to be 550 going to the river, or going to the turn. And let's say the turn is a blank, something like 7 of clubs. Now, because we raised on the flop, our opponent is going to be very uncomfortable here. He's out of position, and if he has, say, a weak ace, or even a jack with a better kicker than our 10 kicker, he's likely to check. And now we have the opportunity to check behind, ensuring that we see the river for free. So let's talk about the key components of getting a free river card when you flop a flush draw. There's 3 steps. Step 1, raise the flop. As simple as that. When you raise the flop, you scare your opponent, and he's very likely to check on the turn. So step 2 is check back on the turn, of course. Check back turn. And it's as easy as cake. The river is now free. Free river. So that's how it works, but you might be a little skeptical and say, well, it's not free. Didn't we put in 200 chips on the flop? And you're right, it's not totally free. We did pay 200 chips to see the turn and the river. What about the alternative where we just called the flop bet? Isn't that cheaper? It's just 100 chips. Well, I'm going to show you that the flop raise is actually the cheaper. We'll go through each scenario and we'll do just a simple accounting of the chips that are going into the pot. First, let's look at the flop raise. This is what we just showed you. On the flop, the cost, of course, to get to the turn, it was 200 chips. That was our raise. On the turn, our opponent's scared. He doesn't put in any more money. So the river at that point is free. Our total cost here to see the river is 200 chips. And what about the option that you think might be better? The flop call. So our opponent, we know he bet 100 chips. So if we just call, it's going to cost us 100 to see the turn. But when the turn comes out, that's 7 of clubs. Our opponent's going to continue if he has that weak ace or that strong jack. And we know he likes to bet around 2/3 of the pot. The pot's now 350. So let's say he bets something very reasonable, 200 chips. To see the river now, we have to call another 200, so our net cost is 300 chips. So if you raise on the flop and you get to the river, you're saving yourselves 100 chips with that raise. So you can think of it as the river costing 100 chips. And if you raise the flop with a flush draw, essentially you're seeing the 100 chip river for free.